You might think it's just a fridge, a lifeless box that keeps your food cold. But what if I told you placing it just a few steps too far to the left or right could be silently draining your wealth, blocking opportunities, and creating emotional tension in your home? Thousands of families do everything right. They work hard, plan carefully, save, and still, the money never seems to stay. Life feels stuck, and no one suspects that the problem may be humming quietly in the corner of their kitchen. Because in Feng Shui, your refrigerator isn't just an appliance. It's the cold heart of the home where abundance is stored, stability is nurtured, and energy flows either freely or gets trapped like light behind a closed curtain. Placed in the wrong spot, it acts like a leaking vault. But placed correctly, it becomes a magnet for prosperity, drawing good fortune into your home like a river after rain, steady, strong, and nourishing. So today, we're not talking about recipes or diets. We're talking about one small shift, one change in location, that could unlock a flow of wealth, calm, and clarity throughout your life. Look around your kitchen. Where is your fridge right now? And more importantly, what is it saying about the energy of your home? Let's find out. Part 1, right side of the front door. Opening the forgotten gateway. Most people never look at it. They walk through the front door dozens of times a day, groceries in hand, bags, umbrellas, phones pressed to their ear. Eyes already on the next task. But they never pause to notice what's on the right-hand side of that entrance, the very first place energy steps into their home. And that, in Feng Shui, is where so much luck begins or gets lost. When you stand inside your home and look out toward the front, the right side of the entrance isn't just a wall or a shoe rack zone. It's a gateway, a filter, a magnet, a channel through which external energy, opportunity, helpful people, even fortune enters your space. And if that gateway is blocked, dirty, dim, or neglected, what you're really saying to the universe is, I'm not ready. I'm not opened. Now imagine placing your refrigerator, a powerful symbol of storage, water, and wealth, right there. Not randomly, not tucked away in the back, but deliberately positioned to catch the stream of fortune as it enters your life. In classical Feng Shui, this area aligns with the Azure Dragon, a mythical figure representing momentum, protection, and noble support. When this side of your entrance is open and respected, you're more likely to meet the right people, receive good news, attract partners who lift you, and find doors opening without forcing them. But when it's ignored, opportunities pass by, good luck knocks, but doesn't enter. Your home becomes sealed in, isolated from the very flow that's meant to support you. The fridge plays a vital role here because it doesn't just store food. It stores potential. Cold energy, when placed correctly, becomes stable energy. Think of a calm lake at sunrise, reflective, nourishing, serene. But when that same water gets trapped in a cluttered, poorly lit corner, it turns stale, heavy, blocked, and so do you. That's why positioning your refrigerator on the right side of the entrance can be so transformative. It's like declaring, "This is my foundation. I welcome flow. I'm building stability." The results, subtle but powerful. You begin to feel more grounded at home. Conversations shift. Work feels more supported, less lonely. You stop fighting upstream. You find people showing up, colleagues, mentors, clients, who align with your path. And not just that, but your ability to recognize and receive those blessings grows. Still, just placing the fridge there isn't enough. The environment matters. A fridge in the right spot, surrounded by darkness or mess, is like placing a golden coin at the bottom of a dusty drawer. It won't shine. It won't call in energy. That's why this area must be clean, bright, and welcoming. No piles of shoes, no old umbrellas, no cardboard boxes waiting to be dealt with. This is not just where energy enters, it's where it decides whether to stay. Light plays an especially key role here. Soft, warm light, not harsh or flickering, signals calm and clarity. It turns your fridge into a beacon. A gentle pulse that says, yes, fortune is welcome here. Even the way you treat your fridge becomes part of the ritual. Wipe the handles with intention. Polish the surface as if polishing a mirror, not just to see yourself, but to reflect who you're becoming. Check the contents. Are you keeping expired leftovers, forgotten sauces, wilted vegetables? Or are you curating what feeds your life? Because how you tend the fridge, your home's storage center, is how you tend your own ability to hold abundance. And that's the secret nobody talks about. In many homes, especially in cities, the right side of the entrance is overlooked. It's a place for dropping things, for stacking shoes, for hanging keys without thought. But in Feng Shui, that casual clutter becomes a silent message. It says, this house is full, there's no room for more. And the universe listens. So if your fridge is currently shoved into a back corner or crammed between cabinets where light and air can't reach it, pause. Ask yourself, what else in my life feels pushed aside? What other source of nourishment is I ignoring? Now picture this, you open your front door, the space is clear, the light is soft. To the right, your fridge hums gently, not as a machine, but as a sentinel, a keeper of calm. Its surface reflects light, not dust. Its shelves are filled with what's real, what's fresh, what sustains you. In that moment, you don't just feel organized. You feel ready. Ready for the mentor who reaches out. Ready for the opportunity you didn't expect. Ready for the money that arrives without strain. Because your home, your entrance, is finally aligned. You're no longer pushing luck away. You're inviting it in, giving it a clear, calm place to land. And all of that started with one decision, a shift of just a few feet. A rethinking of a fridge, a gateway finally remembered. Part 2, north wall of the kitchen, keeping the light from getting stuck. Some walls hold more than just paint and plaster. The north wall of your kitchen is one of them. At first glance, it's just another background. A place to hang utensils, tuck in a shelf, or maybe lean a mop when no one's looking. But in Feng Shui, this wall is not passive. It is a channel, a quiet stream of energy that either supports your financial well-being or slowly lets it slip away. Why? Because north is the direction of water. Cool, deep, silent, and powerful. When your refrigerator, the one appliance that literally stores what sustains you, is placed along the north wall, it taps into that natural current. It becomes a wellspring, not just of food, but of flow, a private stream of abundance that winds through your life, steady and clean. This is especially vital if you live on a salary, manage a household budget, or run a stable business. North wall placement helps ensure your finances remain balanced, not booming one month and collapsing the next, but flowing with quiet assurance. It doesn't promise lottery wins, it promises stability. And in a world of uncertainty, that's worth everything. But here's where many people get it wrong. They treat the north wall like dead space. They stack junk, let cords tangle, forget to dust. They crowd it with bulky furniture or ignore the subtle message their home is sending. And then over time, things start to feel stuck. Income slows, bills pile up, motivation fades. Not in a dramatic crash, but like light trapped behind glass, present but unable to warm you. Because the flow didn't stop, it simply got blocked. In Feng Shui, energy follows attention. And when the energy of water, already delicate and prone to stagnation, is placed in a neglected corner, your finances begin to mirror that stillness. Stale, heavy, unmoving. So how do you keep it alive? First, look at what's around your fridge. Are there loose extension cords snaking across the floor? A broom leaning nearby? Is the area shadowed, the paint peeling, the baseboards forgotten? Every single detail affects the movement of energy. This space must breathe. Keep it open. Keep it clean. Let the air circulate around the appliance like a slow breeze over water. This isn't just about neatness, it's about signaling flow. And then there's light. The north wall, often positioned away from natural windows, can easily fall into shadow. And when it does, the energy inside your fridge and inside your finances dims. That's why a soft, warm light matters so much here. Not fluorescent, not harsh, just enough to say, I see this space, I care for it. It's like opening a window in the early morning, not to shout, but to whisper. Let this day begin gently. Add a light fixture. Choose a low-watt amber bulb. You'll be amazed how that one glow changes the entire feeling of your kitchen. And don't forget what's inside the fridge. Clutter inside reflects clutter in your life. A fridge that's crammed with expired sauces, leftovers no one touches, or freezer-burned bags becomes a metaphor for holding onto what no longer feeds you. So clean it, mindfully, slowly. Wipe the shelves like you're clearing a path in your own mind. Let go of what's stale. Make space, not for more food, but for more flow. And here's something most people overlook: noise. A refrigerator that rattles, buzzes, leaks, or smells off isn't just annoying, it's a sign. That sound is telling you something is off. And in Feng Shui, that means your home's energy is literally vibrating in discomfort. If your fridge is struggling, your wealth energy probably is too. Repair it, replace it, respect it. Because in this placement, the north wall, your refrigerator becomes more than just a box. It becomes a guardian of calm. It's the quiet banker in your home, keeping things in order when no one else is watching. It doesn't ask for thanks. It just hums in the background, storing not just milk and fruit, but a sense of security you can count on. And when treated well, it rewards you with steady income, with fewer financial surprises, with a home that feels anchored even when the world outside feels unsure. So don't overlook this wall. Don't let your finances, your energy, your peace get stuck behind a tangle of wires and a stack of plastic bags. Choose clarity, choose light, and let the quiet river of the north bring flow back into your life. Part 3, Southeast Corner, the invisible safe. If your home had a treasure chest, a hidden vault that stores not only money, but the energy of long-term prosperity, where would it be? Feng Shui has a clear answer: the southeast corner. This quiet, often overlooked part of your kitchen is what ancient masters called the wealth sector. And what you place there matters. Most people use that corner for convenience: a trash bin, a microwave, a stack of mismatched plastic containers. But when you put your refrigerator in that spot, with care, with clarity, it becomes more than an appliance. It becomes an invisible safe, collecting and stabilizing your financial flow. Here, SY. In classical Feng Shui, the southeast direction is governed by the wood element: growth, expansion, vitality. When you place a refrigerator, a symbol of the metal element and stored abundance, in this space, you activate a subtle balance. Metal supports water, water nourishes wood, and wood grows wealth. It's not just theory, you can feel it. When the southeast corner is respected, money doesn't just come, it stays, it grows. It multiplies gently, like a vine climbing in sunlight, not fast and wild, but steady and rooted. This makes it especially important for entrepreneurs, investors, or anyone trying to build something long-term. Because wealth, true wealth, isn't about windfalls, it's about structure. And the fridge in this position provides that structure in energetic form. But here's the danger. When neglected, the same corner turns into a drain. A leaky, forgotten space where wealth energy seeps out slowly, invisibly. Ask yourself, is that corner dark, stuffed, or forgotten? Is your fridge in that spot making strange noises, collecting frost, or leaking? Or are there bills, plastic bags, or clutter sitting nearby? Each of those is a crack in your safe, a message that says, I don't protect what I have. And life listens. So how do you turn this corner into a source of quiet fortune? First, declutter it completely. Not just the outside, the inside of the fridge too. Check the vegetable drawers. Are there wilting leaves, mushy lemons, or sauces that expired months ago? Each of those items is a symbol of neglected value. And over time, they create a field of stagnation, not just in the air, in your finances. Wipe every surface. Do it with presence, as if you're cleaning the inside of a vault that holds your future. Then check the energy around the fridge. Is the lighting harsh, too cold, or worse, none at all? In Feng Shui, light is like consciousness. Without it, energy sleeps. Use soft, nurturing tones, creamy whites, pale greens, earthy golds. These colors align beautifully with wood energy and encourage financial growth in a sustainable, calm way. And just as important, don't overstuff the fridge. Yes, it's meant to store. But in Feng Shui, overflow is as dangerous as emptiness. A fridge so packed that you can't see the back wall, that's not abundance. That's hoarding. It signals a fear of loss, a scarcity mindset, and that, ironically, pushes wealth away. So aim for balance. Keep it stocked but breathable. Let every item have its place. Let air flow, because wealth is not what you trap. It's what you allow to circulate, stay, and serve you. And here's a subtle touch that can amplify everything. Place a small, healthy plant nearby. Mint, basil, or even a lucky bamboo. Something green, something alive. This isn't just decor, it's a signal, a whisper to the universe. This corner is tended. Growth is welcome here. And growth, when invited gently, arrives. Over the coming weeks, you may notice shifts, not dramatic, but deep. You start spending more wisely. Opportunities feel easier to hold on to. You stop chasing wealth and begin receiving it through partnerships, clarity, and timing. Because the Southeast fridge doesn't just preserve food. It preserves rhythm, momentum, and the kind of wealth that doesn't shake loose at the first sign of struggle. So if you've ever felt like money slips through your fingers, like no matter how much you earn, it's never quite enough, look to that corner. Don't just clean it, don't just decorate it, honor it. Let it become the vault it was always meant to be. Not loud, not flashy, but steady, present, strong, your invisible safe. And maybe, just maybe, the most powerful corner in your home. Part 4, near the dining area, but give it room to breathe. It seems practical, even clever. You place your fridge near the dining table, quick access to drinks, easy reach for condiments. It saves steps, saves time. But slowly, without warning, something changes. Meals feel rushed. Conversations feel strained. The air feels heavier. You don't notice it at first, but the subtle shift begins. Less laughter at dinner, more silence. Less appetite, more fatigue. Something invisible yet undeniable has taken root. In Feng Shui, the area between the kitchen and dining room is not just a walkway. It's a bridge, a space where nourishment transforms into connection. It's where food, cooked with care, becomes energy shared with love. And anything that disrupts that bridge, even something as familiar as a refrigerator, can quietly interrupt the harmony of your home. When the fridge is placed too close to the dining table, it does more than crowd the space. It emits cold energy, constant humming, and subtle vibrations. Over time, these elements begin to affect the emotional temperature of your meals. Think about it, dinner is when we reconnect. It's when children tell their stories. Spouses share their thoughts. Elders offer wisdom, but if cold air flows between bites, if machinery hums louder than voices, that warmth begins to dim. The dining area, especially in traditional Eastern homes, is sacred. It's often centered, visible, clean. The table is not just for eating. It's where wealth energy is absorbed through nourishment, where family bonds strengthen through rhythm and routine. And that's why the proximity of the fridge matters so much here. If placed well, the fridge supports this flow. It stands slightly aside, present but not imposing, like a quiet guardian. A symbol of abundance that doesn't overshadow the intimacy of shared meals. But when placed too close, it becomes a source of energetic noise, not just sound but tension. The space feels cramped. Air circulation weakens. People eat faster, stay shorter. Emotions contract. So how do you correct it? First, create a little distance. Even 1 or 2 feet can make a difference. You don't need to redesign your whole kitchen, you just need to allow the space to breathe again. Visualize the energy. Meals should move like a stream, from stove to plate, plate to heart. A stream doesn't like sharp turns or obstacles. Your fridge should sit alongside this flow, not block it. If moving the fridge isn't an option, soften its presence. Place a small wooden shelf between the fridge and table. Add a low, leafy plant, like pothos or peace lily, to absorb excess cold energy. Choose a tablecloth in warm tones, deep beige, muted red, soft gold, to invite grounding energy to the table. Next, pay attention to light. Does your dining space feel bright but not glaring? Soft lighting creates emotional safety. It tells the nervous system, you can slow down, you can enjoy your home. That sense of ease is priceless, and it makes a visible difference. People linger longer, they choose slower, they listen more. Even arguments dissolve more gently when the space supports stillness. And then there's a deeper layer, one that touches the soul of many households, the role of the caregiver. In many cultures, the woman of the house, the mother, the grandmother, is the keeper of the kitchen. The meals, the fridge, she doesn't just cook, she nourishes, she creates rhythm and balance. And when the space between the stove and table feels tight, chaotic, or cold, her nervous system carries that strain. When the fridge is thoughtfully placed, when the dining area feels open and held, her heart relaxes. And from that relaxed state, everything else in the home softens too. This isn't just about food. It's about emotional architecture, designing your space to hold love without tension. And yes, it has financial implications too. A fridge near the dining area, when placed well, supports mindful consumption. You see what's available. You plan better. You avoid waste. That awareness leads to better budgeting, healthier choices, and a deeper appreciation for what you have. You stop buying duplicates. You stop overstocking. You eat more of what's already there. And this, over time, becomes a new kind of wealth, one rooted in intention, clarity, and calm. So take a fresh look at that space between your stove and your table. Is there room to breathe? Is the fridge present but not overwhelming? Is the energy moving gently from creation to connection? Because when it is, something beautiful happens. Meals become more than meals, they become moments. The fridge hums but softly, like a background note. The table glows, the chairs feel pulled, not pushed. And dinner, simple as it may be, feels like an anchor. That's when you know the balance is right. Not because someone told you, but because your home told you. Part 5, next to a small window with gentle light. Sunlight for the soul. Some changes don't begin with noise or effort. They begin with light. Not the artificial kind, not cold LED strips or flickering overheads, but real light. Soft, gentle. The kind that enters slowly through a sheer curtain in the morning, kissing the edges of your kitchen without asking permission. And that, in Feng Shui, is the light that awakens energy. Now imagine placing your refrigerator, the keeper of food, nourishment, stability, next to a small window where this kind of light flows in each day. You're not just saving space, you're creating a pocket of living energy. In Feng Shui, natural light represents yang, vitality, clarity, freshness. It activates, it uplifts. When your fridge sits beside a window, even a modest one, it doesn't just chill food. It holds it in a space touched by life force. This is especially powerful in urban homes, where windows are few and light often filters in through concrete. In such spaces, placing your fridge next to a window becomes a conscious rebellion against dullness. It's a way of saying, this kitchen breathes. You might not notice the change in one day, but over time it speaks through feeling. You feel lighter when cooking. You feel more patient when preparing meals. You reach for a piece of fruit and the light is already there, waiting, making even the ordinary act of opening the fridge feel like an invitation. But there's a nuance. Not all light is equal. Direct sunlight, harsh and prolonged, can overwork your fridge. It forces the appliance to cool harder, consumes more energy, and creates temperature tension. Not good for your bills, your food, or your home's vibration. What you want is filtered light, morning sun, windowsill glow, the kind that doesn't overheat but awakens. Use a light curtain, plant something nearby. Let the light dance, not blaze. And here's where it becomes more than just functional design. Light doesn't only affect temperature, it affects mood. And your mood affects everything. In many households, the kitchen is the emotional center. It's where the day begins, not at the desk or the mirror, but when you touch food. The first cup of tea, the slice of bread, the quiet moment of pulling out leftovers, planning dinner, or simply breathing. When this moment happens beside gentle light, your nervous system calms. You exhale more deeply. You soften, even if only for a minute. And in that softness, you begin to see your kitchen not as a place of chores, but a place of rhythm. A fridge by a softly lit window becomes an anchor, a visual signal that even the most practical tasks, grabbing butter, storing soup, can hold warmth. That even machines, when placed in light, can reflect back serenity. This also affects your relationship with food. Dark corners lead to mindless storage, forgotten leftovers, meals eaten without awareness. But when the space is lit, you see more, you remember what you have, you waste less. You choose differently, and that choice multiplied across days and months becomes a foundation of abundance. Not overconsumption, but gratitude, not stockpiling, but trusting that what you have is enough and visible. There's another benefit, subtle but deep: emotional resilience. If you're someone who cooks after long work days, who enters the kitchen already carrying the weight of decisions, stress, and fatigue, that window can become a quiet source of recovery. You may not notice it, but the brain does. Light softens mental loops, shifts internal weather, gives a moment of pause before the rush resumes. It's not therapy, but it's support. Now let's take it one step further. Place a small plant beside the fridge. One that thrives in partial light, snake plant, pothos mint. Watch it grow. Let it become a reminder this corner is alive. You're not just preserving vegetables here, you're preserving balance. You're tending to life, not just human life, but the subtle life of your home. And when guests come over, they might not point it out, but they'll feel it. This kitchen feels nice. Oh, is that mint? I love the light in this corner. What they're sensing isn't decor, it's flow. It's energy that's been allowed to breathe. So if your current fridge is tucked into a dark pocket, shoved between cabinets, humming in isolation, pause. Look at the nearest window. Is there room to shift? Can you create a corner that welcomes morning? Even a half meter matters. Even a crack of dawn changes things. Because sometimes what your kitchen needs most isn't a renovation, it's sunlight. And what your soul needs, quietly daily, is to see that sunlight touch something steady, something that holds, something that reminds you, life is here, even in the coldest places. Part 6, 4 places that drain your luck. A refrigerator is built to preserve, but when placed in the wrong spot, it does the opposite. It disturbs, it drains, it turns still energy into stagnant energy, and over time, that stagnation doesn't just stay in the kitchen. It spills over into your sleep, your income, your relationships, and your emotional resilience. You might not feel it all at once, but the signs are there, slow, subtle, and steady. Let's talk about the 4 most common and most dangerous places to put your fridge, and more importantly, why they quietly unravel the balance you've been trying so hard to build. 1, inside the living room. It's chilling the heart of the home. At first, it sounds efficient. You live in a small apartment. You want to free up kitchen space. You place the fridge just outside, maybe next to the TV, behind the sofa, in a corner of the living room. It fits, it works, but something shifts. The room no longer feels warm. The conversations turn shorter. The space begins to feel less like a family sanctuary, more like a shared hallway. In Feng Shui, the living room is the emotional heart of the home. It's where laughter gathers, stories unfold, silence is shared. It's a yang space, soft, communal, connective. And placing a cold, mechanical object with strong metal energy, like a fridge, into that environment throws the whole balance off. Think of it like placing a steel filing cabinet in a garden. It doesn't belong. Not because it's bad, but because its energy conflicts with the emotional tone of the space. When this happens, family members feel restless. Sleep is disrupted. Irritability increases. Arguments rise not because of topics, but because the atmosphere becomes brittle. If you absolutely have no other choice but to place a fridge in the living room, buffer it. Use a wooden cabinet or screen to soften its lines. Add warm lighting nearby. Surround it with gentle textures, fabric, books, greenery. Do whatever it takes to warm the cold edge of its presence, but better yet, move it out. Let the heart of the home remain open to softness. 2. Under the staircase, a vault of shadow. It seems like the perfect hidden nook, a dead space beneath the stairs. Tidy, tucked away, out of sight. But in Feng Shui, the space under the stairs is a yin pocket, a zone that naturally collects stillness, shadows, and forgotten energy. When you place your fridge there, you don't just store food, you store heaviness. This is one of the most spiritually dense placements. It traps qi, it dulls flow. It can lead to symptoms you'd never link to your kitchen. A chronic fatigue, a feeling emotionally stuck, a lack of motivation, a persistent work pressure, unexplainable tension in the chest or head. Because the vibration of a fridge, cold, humming, weighty, placed in an already compressed, dark area amplifies energetic pressure. The area becomes a point of emotional gravity, and those living in the house begin to feel it physically. From a practical perspective, it's also unsafe. Poor airflow, appliance strain. Moisture equals mold equals sickness. Inattention equals neglect equals energy block. If your fridge is currently under a staircase, take this as a sign. Move it if possible, if not yet, light the space. Add soft lighting. Place a mirror to reflect light and open space. Add a small living object, a low plant or a basket of fruit. Bring yang into that pocket of yin, and clean it often. This is not a corner to forget. 3, facing the bathroom, clash of energies. It's surprisingly common, especially in tight homes where the kitchen and bathroom doors open across from each other. The fridge ends up directly in line with the bathroom. Convenient, maybe, But in Feng Shui, this is a major clash. The fridge is storage of nourishment, of energy, of what sustains you. The bathroom is release of waste, toxins, downward energy. One holds, one lets go. And when they directly face each other, you're setting up an energetic argument that never ends. What does this look like in real life? Financial plans that stall without clear reason. Projects that start and collapse. Trouble saving money. Emotional instability. Kids losing appetite or getting sick often. A sense that nothing stays. Even if your bathroom is clean, fresh, even decorated, the symbolic clash remains. The solution: close the bathroom door at all times. Place a soft divider, a curtain, screen, tall plant between the two zones. Add a bowl of sea salt near the fridge to absorb excess yin energy, and if you can, shift the fridge. Even a slight repositioning can break the direct energetic line. For too close to or facing the stove, the war between fire and metal. This one is subtle but deeply disruptive. In the 5 elements of Feng Shui, fire and metal are opposing forces. The fridge, cold metal, still represents containment. The stove, hot, fire, active, represents transformation. When they're too close together, or worse, directly facing each other, a conflict is born. And that conflict spills over into your household. The person who cooks feels tense, drained, annoyed. Meals feel uninspired. Conversations in the kitchen grow sharp. You feel exhausted after preparing food, not physically, but energetically. It's not about cooking skills. It's about the emotional temperature of the space. If the fridge and stove are side by side with no buffer, here's what you can do. Place a wooden panel or small shelf between them. Add something green, a plant, green tile, or green dish towel. Wood mediates fire and metal. If facing each other, place a light-colored rug or a strip of soft mat in between to soften tension. Create a visual and energetic pause between the two. You'll be amazed how quickly the emotional climate shifts. Final, sometimes the shifts that matter most don't make a sound. They happen in the quiet, in the gentle repositioning of a fridge, in the way you open a door with just a little more care, in the soft light that now reaches a surface that once lived in shadow. And suddenly, without warning, your home begins to breathe differently, not because you bought anything new, but because you remembered what space can do, how it can hold, heal, how it can respond when treated as something alive, not just filled with objects, but with intentions. The refrigerator, for all its cold metal and humming silence, is a keeper of your rhythm. It doesn't just preserve food. It preserves your relationship with flow, with enoughness, with the quiet confidence that you are supported even when no one is looking. And now you see it differently. It's no longer just a box in the corner. It's a mirror reflecting how you receive, how you allow, how you prepare for what you hope to welcome. So tonight, when you walk through your kitchen, don't rush. Let your hand rest on the fridge handle for just a moment longer. Notice the sound, the stillness, the coolness against your skin, and ask yourself, not as a homeowner, but as a soul passing through space, what else in my life is ready to be repositioned?